This one's for you.
All right, everyone. Thanks for coming today. We're going to start the class. Today we're here to do our case design class for September 2020. Today we're talking about term versus permanent insurance, dispelling the myths about buy term versus the difference, and how to really help explain to the client the best way possible. Right. Today I'm Coach Jeremy. I'm joined by Coach Alex. This is going to be Coach Alex's class today. He is the aficionado on this topic, so he wants to be able to talk about the term versus permanent things. That's something he's very passionate about, of really helping you dispel the Dave Ramsey's, the Susie Ormans, the Clark Howard misinformation that's given out there. So Coach Alex is going on his 7th or 8th year. He's been doing this a long time with us now. He's the newest member of the IPS team still. But I'm going to give this class over to him and let him tell you about his message and why he wants to do, why he's doing this, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeremy. I'm going to start touching your screen now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So one thing we always like to go over in the beginning of all of our web classes is why we're here, why we do what we do. And the simple answer, without reading this on the screen, is that we're here to make a positive change in this industry and in this country. If we were to go out and produce, we could make a really good living doing that. The problem is we're probably only help between 100 to 1,000 families in our lifetime. It's a great impact, but it's only going to impact our local community. Over that same lifetime, if me and Jeremy each can train 100 to 1,000 agents, and they help 100 to 1,000 families, then our reach goes from 1,000 to 1 million. It's a huge difference. Alex's sound isn't good. Is this better?
A lot better.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Dan. So we're just trying to help as many families as we can to just get back on the positive financial steps to really turn this country around and help them be successful financially. Our products and our industry is one of the best suited out there, and people are looking for the help. They just don't know who to trust. And that's our goal, is to help you be that person they can trust to really make a difference in their lives. That's the short answer. Or the paraphrase answer. I don't know if that was any shorter. It's not letting me go on. There it goes. All right, so today we're going to talk about really two different things, and it's really kind of like the same thing, just continuation of the other one. The first one is term versus permanent insurance, why people buy term, and then why they should buy permanent instead, kind of like the problems they're facing, and what the whole buy term invest the rest is, and versus what we were trying to get them to do. And next, I'm going to show you how I usually write it up, just like a typical case for that. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. But I do have one important note I wanted to make, and that's during the fact find is the most important part of dispelling buy term and invest the difference. It's the fact find that's going to make the sale. I mean, that's true for all sales, but 10 times so in this one. Because every sale you make is going to be made during the fact find. If you don't do it right in the fact find, you're not going to get that second appointment and you're not going to close it. So you want to make sure that you hit the points really hard so you get that sale. And but you do that by making sure you're going into the details and the problems of everything. So you make sure you're asking those emotional based questions that we've talked about in all those other classes and everything else. And then the two other things are to really help you. We have two great 5-minute presentations for those. The first one is everything I know about life insurance. Y'all have all heard me go over that. If you haven't, it's on many web classes and it's under 5-minute presentations on the Marketing and Sales Resource Center. And the other one is seed versus the harvest, which kind of goes into the whole, what's the problem with investing in like an IRA kind of thing, just tax deferring until retirement isn't a great plan for you. It's a better plan for Uncle Sam. And those were really just the point I'm making with bringing up those two 5-minute presentations is they really go through the problem to help people see the light, say what they're doing right now isn't working, that they need to make changes. And that's really the whole goal of the fact find is to bring people into the light saying, what I'm doing right now isn't working. There has to be a better way, and I need to make those changes now. And you do that based on your emotional-based questions by having true conversations with them, not telling them anything, just helping them come to the conclusion themselves. All right. So the philosophy of buy term and invest the difference is rooted in the fact that term insurance is the cheapest and The way Dave Ramsey teaches it, it makes sense because you can get 10 to 13% in mutual funds. Well, realistically, according to Dalbar and everyone and all that else, and just even the S&P 500, most people average at most 7%, and that's if they do well. Typically, people are getting between 3 and 5. So it's that people think they're going to be doing a lot better than they are, and that's because of market risk. So with the philosophy, there's 3 problems with buying a term investing the rest. Well, the first one that Dave Ramsey doesn't really go into is people are not good at saving consistently unless it's automatic. People live paycheck to paycheck up to their means, typically. There are not very many great savers out there anymore. People will get their paycheck and it's like, oh, I have extra money this month. Let's go on vacation. Or let's buy that new TV. Let's get that boat. Let's go on a trip. Whatever XYZ thing is that month, they'll spend that money instead of, oh, I need to put money away for retirement. It's not in the forefront of their mind. So if you're not saving consistently, if it's not automatic, or like if it's not deducted from their paycheck each month, like a payroll deduction, or if it's not like life insurance that they get the bill each month, most likely they're not going to save consistently, which is a significant problem. Why are you going ahead of me?
I didn't mean to.
Okay. The other problem with buying term investing the rest is term is the most expensive way to stay insured. It's the cheapest initially, but over time it is the most expensive and you have nothing to show for it at the end, which is something I go through in the 5-minute presentation, everything you know about life insurance. No one wants to spend money and see nothing at the end of it. People realize that renting their apartment or renting their home is, yes, it's cheap short term, but that rent goes up each year, and at the end of it, you have nothing to show. You're not building any equity. Your cost of insurance goes up. And the other big thing is they're going to have to requalify their new age and health. If people's health goes down, it's going to get even more expensive if they can qualify at all. Plus, every time they renew, they're older, and at the new retained age, it's going to be more expensive as well. And so the last problem that I really want to talk about is with families, the money is all at risk in 401ks, IRAs, etc. Unless they're putting in annuities, which most don't. It's mostly in the market. And that money is all at risk. And if that's the only money they have for retirement, can they afford to lose it? I personally believe the answer is no. Until you have a solid foundation that you can count on, you can't put money at risk. But for them it's a catch-22. It's, well, I'm so far behind. If I don't get the risk and I don't get great gains, I'm never going to be able to retire. So they feel like they only have that one option. They don't know all the different ways of doing it. They don't know what other options they have that can actually get them to retirement that they want. And the other problem is if it's not a Roth, or if they don't qualify for a Roth IRA or Roth 401k that they have now, is that you don't have the tax advantages. It's actually tax disadvantage, in my opinion. Just because it's go through the seed and the harvest and just and if you do the math, you're saving very little in taxes now to pay a lot more later when you're on a fixed income. Does that make sense? And that's something I use very often in my fact finds is, does that make sense? I'm keeping it very simple, just having full conversations about each of these topics. I don't really go through the first topic with them. That's more of a point for you. As far as why I don't like buying term investor rest, but the other two I do. All right.
Now, realize, guys, that there's no formal education on finance anymore. The gist of the education you get is what, Alex? You're the youngest guy here. You're the one that went to class. I did it on purpose.
I mean, I've taken a lot of classes in high school, economics classes, finance courses. I took some finance courses in college as well. And the gist of anything they really tell you, there's no like investing strategies stuff they go over. Basically, you have bonds and you have the stock market and the savings account and CDs. And what will most likely happen is put 10% away in your 401k. And by the time you retire, you'll probably be okay. And if you don't want to put your money at risk, then you have CDs and bonds. But those returns are typically.
And you'll never get to where you want to go doing that.
Yeah.
So you got to understand the problem. The biggest problem is people don't know what they don't know. And a lot of our clients are They try to self-study, they try to, DIY it, do-it-yourselfers, but they don't know. So it's our job as agents to help educate them, help them understand what's at stake, what's at risk for their future, to help them really explain that there are other options available that can put them ahead of the curve without taking enormous amounts of extra risk.
And the other point I want to make, guys, is that I'm never going to argue with a client on why term is bad. If they're saying, "Oh, I hate permanent insurance," okay, I won't talk about it like that. I'll go through my 5-minute presentation, and then I'll position it in a way that makes sense to them to see if it makes sense for themselves. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But as Lou's gone over with like the Heather and Brian case, and we have hundreds of other cases like that, once you show them the light, they're like, "Oh wait, this actually makes way more sense." And that's what it is. All right. So let's talk about this is a slightly fictional case. It's based off of a real case that I've seen before. I've seen 100 like it.
100?
I just rounded the numbers a little bit to make it prettier.
Only 100 like it, Alex?
100 this year.
100, yeah, this year maybe. Now, and this is probably one of the most common cases we put out. Is when you really think about it, everybody fits in this category. We all have, or a lot of families have term through work. A lot of people have put money in their 401k, or they have private term insurance doing an IRA. It's all the same thing. It works the exact same way. It's just sometimes a little bit bigger numbers. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll shut up now.
Yep. So let's just say we have a 40-year-old male. He's preferred health. He wants to retire at 65. He doesn't smoke. He is married, has 2 kids. And he has a term insurance that he got through his property and casualty company, let's say State Farm, that's going to expire this year. And he's like, "Oh, I don't want it to expire. I want to take care of my family." So that's how you got the call, or that's how you set the initial appointment. And for the old term insurance, he was paying $25 a month. That's actually, I think it's actually like 20. I think it was actually like 23 for a 30-year-old 10-year term for 500K preferred. And then during the fact find, you were also talking with him, and he's very concerned about retirement. Doesn't really count on Social Security being there, so he's been saving $400 a month and putting that into an IRA. All right. Now during the fact find, we talked about the seed and the harvest and everything I know about life insurance, and he agreed that he probably wants a permanent insurance to take care of his family. He doesn't want to have to worry about his health being there the next time, and having to requalify, go through this process again. If he could get permanent insurance, that's something he was very concerned about and wanted to take advantage of. All right. So now let's show you how I write this up. And for that, I need to get to the software. Jeremy, I can't pull that up. Can you pull it up, please?
I know. I'm getting there.
Thank you. But I went ahead and ran all the quotes just so I didn't have to do that in front of you. We've already done that before, and that just takes extra time. So I want to keep this short and simple for you guys.
Yeah, but if you guys need help running the quotes, doing the illustrations, creating these presentation pieces, give us a call. I mean, these cases take us to really effectively do it, 30, 40 minutes to do one of these cases, to run the quotes from everything from the ground zero up. So if you have any help, need any help, just going through the information, let us know. We're going to be able to walk you through it.
Absolutely. So this is our, okay. Yeah, so this is our typical first page, just our cover page. You guys know about that. It just has their name and then your name right here. All right, and then remember the first page is extremely important, or the first actual information page, because the first information page is all about what's the word I'm trying to look for? It's all about getting them into the same mental state they were when they left your office the last time. So it's trying to remind them of everything that they talked about with you, everything they thought was important, and bring that back to the forefront, bringing back all those emotions that we uncovered. So they want to continue that action that they already wanted to take the last time we left them. All right. So basically, it's just a summary of everything we talked about during that first thing. So the first thing he wanted to talk about was he wanted to create a plan to retire securely at 65. He has 25 years left. That's something he wants to do. He's already on track. but he wants to make sure he stays on track for that. The second one, and this obviously, honestly, that I could have switched these either way, but I did it this way this time. And the secondary objective is that his life insurance is expiring. He wants to renew it to protect his wife and kids. Now, I put wife and kids just because you guys wouldn't know their names. But typically, I would write out their names there. So if his wife's name is Laura, I'd put to protect Laura and Sue and Joe.
And I want to
as
interject.
the kids' names.
And you guys, you want to write these down in whatever words they used. You know, we don't want to use our terminology, our jargon, our lingo to help them explain it. We want to use what they said and as best in their own words. So if he wanted to create a plan to have so much income at X date and minimize what Uncle Sam can take, that's what I'm going to put down there. I want to have it in exactly the same words, almost a statement from them that I can put in quotes saying, this is what you said. Is this correct? Because that's what's going to get them back in the same emotional, range they were in the first time. If we plug in just what we think they want to hear, what we think they said, it's not going to be effective. But getting their exact terminology, really personalized to their situation. So your life insurance expired, you wanting to renew it or gain additional coverage to protect Susie and Jenny. You want to really tie that in to get that emotional response back. Your wife and kids does not sound as good as listening to people out. To really hit that emotional heartstring to really push that problem. Make sense? Go ahead, Alex. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Great points. Thank you. The next is just the assumptions. It's basically just like a quick overview of things that you use to create the presentation. Just so they know, like, if anything's wrong, like, hey, the number's gonna be slightly wrong, but we can fix it, kind of thing. These are the numbers I used. So that's, you're currently 40 years old. You do not smoke or in great health. I put that because I'm going to write, because on the application, I ran it as 40-year-old male, non-smoker, preferred. Now, typically, I almost always run standard. And that way, if they come back preferred or elite, it's a happy time, not a, I ran preferred, now they only come back standard, so now it's going to come back as more kind of thing. I want to show that I want to be the hero, not the bearer of bad news.
Hero, not the zero.
Yes, thank you. The other thing that we talked about is he wanted to keep that same 500K death benefit because he wants to be able to replace his income for his wife if something happens to him. All right, and then the other thing is just how his IRA is doing. You're currently saving $400 a month in your IRA, and he has $75,000 saved. But you are worried about the stock market risk and the future taxes. And like Jeremy was saying earlier, put that into how he explained it to you, or based on the conversations you had. So use the words he used there. All right, and then we just talk about basic, and then the last step on the first page is going over what they're going to see on the second page.
Before you go into that, Alex, before you go into that, when you have this kind of statement on the screen, if that's what their statement is, that's more of an objective statement. You want to put that in both areas to really hit that. I mean, we put it here as more of a note for you guys. We try to draw these cases up to kind of keep it simple for you guys. When you have the kind of, the assumptions is more of the logic, where these are more of the emotion. Does that make sense? So you want to drive the emotional points home. I am tired of losing money in the stock market. I don't like having my money at risk, which should be up in this area. That's the more of the heart hitting points of it. Then we get into the logic behind it of why, what we're looking at, what we're using, what we're looking at, and why we're looking at it. Make sense? Good.
So the next thing is, and I'm gonna, and it still follow that same logic as far as hitting those points. So for one thing, he wanted insurance that wasn't going to expire. He didn't want to have to renew it again. He didn't have to worry about if his health declined in the future. So maybe if you use the words lock in, I would say lock in. If he said expired, you just expire. But he wants to get the insurance he needs to protect his family that will never expire. So he wants that insurance to always be there. He wants it to last as long as he does. whatever his terminology was. And the next thing is we're going to create a plan that's going to provide you with tax-free income in retirement without the risk of loss. So that's what we're going to be looking at on the second page. And now I ran a couple of different quotes for this. So the first quote I ran was just a 30-year term. And now I ran all these quotes with one of my more expensive companies and with a little bit less growth potential. And I did that just to show that the company really doesn't matter. As long as it's an A-rated company that's going to be there, use whoever you want. It doesn't have to be the top 3 best returns in the whole country in order for you to consider, oh, this is not a good product for them then. All products are good as long as you sell them properly. They all have their own uses. It doesn't have to be the number one company every time. Put who you believe in and use that company. There's a lot more to a company than just this company can get 7% return versus a 6% return. There's a lot more to it than that. Don't just focus on the returns. All right, and then I go through this line by line with them. And so I take that first sheet, I flip it over, so you can see the sheet. There's no writing on it, so they don't get distracted by that. I turn it horizontally, so it's kind of like a little cross, and I'll cover up everything except for that first line. So the first thing I wanted to do is just to go over what you had before. You had you had a term policy that's about to expire. You were paying $25 a month for it, and it was for $500,000 of coverage. Now you don't have this expense going forward since it's expiring. I just wanted to show you what you're currently doing. All right, and now to replace that term for 30 years to get you to retirement, it's going to be $81 now. So it's going to be a little bit more. It's going to be considerably more than what you were paying before, but it's going to be that same $500,000. And over the next 25 years, you're going to put $24,300 into it. And at the end of it, you're not going to get any of your money back. It's just like renting. Okay. Now, because this policy was a little more, I did end up taking a little bit from your IRA contributions just to cover the difference between the 25 and then in the 81. So instead of contributing that $400, I assumed you would start contributing $344. Now, if I had found the money with him, let's say I found extra money that he was spending on I helped him save money on his cable bill, or I helped him save money by bundling his car insurance, or he's putting X amount of money in his savings account, whatever way I found the money, I probably wouldn't have reduced the IRA contribution then. But as a last resort, that is something we can do, just to keep it apples to apples, showing the same amount of money he's spending right now to what we're going to spend in our plan. All right, so we're going to knock that contribution down to $344 a month. You said you already had $75,000 saved. So over the next 25 years, you're going to put in $103,200. And it's going to grow to $466,806, which is a great chunk for retirement. And you'll be able to generate about a little bit less than $19,000 a month with that. However, the problem with the IRA, like we talked about before, was that this money is all at risk. So if the stock market takes a downturn a couple of years before retirement, you could have significantly less than that. The other thing is this money is all taxable. So it's going to be, so you're not going to get that full $18,000 each year. You have to pay taxes on it. So according to your tax bracket, it could be significantly less. All right. And the other thing about this investing is when we went over your statements together, we discovered you were paying a 2% fee. So that 7% that you thought you were getting, you're actually only netting 5 at the end of it. Okay. And if this is what you want to do, this is not a bad plan. But let me show you what I think is a little better. And that's pretty much how I phrase a transition 99% of the time. This is not a bad plan, but let me show you what I think is a little better. Because if they want to do this, this is perfectly fine. It's gonna get them into a better position than he was today. But it's not the best position that we can get him for. Get him in. So that's why that's what I want to show him. That's why, because you never want to show multiple options. We show this is what you're currently doing. If you keep going on the same track you are, and that's what the current plan is. And then we're going to show him this is our best recommendations. We're the expert. This is what I recommend. This is where it's going to get you closest to your goals. You have something you want to add, Jeremy?
Yeah, you don't want to poo-poo their plan. You don't want to put a bad taste in their mouth. You want to congratulate them for just such a good job so far with limited information. You know, you want to tell them, great, you got term, you protect your family, you have some savings, you're on the right track. But you think we can make it a little better? You never want to say, hey, you did the most dumbest thing you possibly do, because now you're just creating a wedge between you and the client, or you and the prospect. You're putting negative thoughts in their head. You're making them feel stupid, and that's not what you want to have them do. Congratulations, it's just a good job so far, but let's talk about something a little better. Let's see if we can supercharge it a little bit. See if we can make it just work a hair better. Put a few more dollars to work for you. Would that make sense?
Okay.
That's it.
I saw a question pop up. I do want to talk about that real quick. What is the reason for replacing the old term policy? And for this case in particular, this term was expiring next month. That's why he called us. So that's why we're replacing it. In other situations, I do annual reviews and policy reviews with everybody. So if I'm converting it to permanent insurance, then typically I guess it's a conversion if I can first. But if I can't, then yes, I'm replacing it. I don't have a problem replacing term insurance with permanent insurance. It's perfectly fine. I typically don't like replacing term with term unless it was missold. I always try to save policies if I can. I'm not really big on replacing policies unless it's converting it from term to permanent.
And the only time we'll replace a term, guys, is if it's expiring, or I lost what I was going to say. Matching the same death benefit they're going to get now, because I don't want to have them have a decrease in coverage. So if it's only $25 a month for another 2 or 3 years of coverage, let them keep the term. And that way in 2 more years, we can say, hey, let's convert that term. Let's replace that term now. And let's add more insurance at that point. You know, plant future seeds for additional sales.
All right. And now I just go line by line again, going over what our plan is. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stop contributing to your IRA. But the good thing is that money that's in there, it's still going to keep growing. So at the end of 25 years, I just got an echo. Okay.
I'm working on it.
So you're not going to put any more money in, so it's just that $75,000 growing for you. At the end of 25 years, it's going to grow to $261,000 roughly. It's going to generate a little bit over $10,000 a year in income. It's a great start for retirement again. And now we're going to put in a permanent life insurance policy on you. It's called Index Life Insurance. And for this one, I actually probably would have switched these now that I think about it. I would have done the Index Life first in that second row and 25 term to the third. Going over, hey, we're going to use that $400 you were spending. We're going to get you a permanent policy. Now, because permanent insurance is a little bit more expensive initially, you can only get $347,980 of permanent coverage, but you have this insurance forever. So over the next 25 years, you're going to pay about $120,000, and it's going to grow to $211,665, which is going to generate you a tax-free income of $18,512 a year. All tax-free, and this is at no market risk. You're guaranteed to never lose a penny. Now, I did want to make sure that you had that same $500,000 of coverage, so I went ahead and did write you a 25-year term to get you through retirement to make sure that you still have that $500,000. That's going to cost you about $25 a month. So at the end of the day, we're still spending that same $425 you're spending now, but now you have $350,000, almost $350,000 of permanent insurance, the same, a little bit over $500,000, basically the same amount of insurance you had before. You're still paying that same $127,000 over the next 25 years, but now instead of only having $466,000, you now have $473,000, and you have almost close to double the income you had before, with almost $30,000 of income, most of which is tax-free and not at risk. Which one makes more sense to you? And then I let them talk. I'll answer any questions they have. If I miss something, if they're hesitant, that means I missed something. What did I miss? What are you still worried about? And I'll have a conversation about it. One other, I did write a couple notes in here for you guys. I ran these illustrations with no waiver premium, just because a lot of people in this call are from states that don't allow it, from California and such. So I wanted to keep it, and the other part is I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. If your state has it, I can't highly recommend it enough. It's a self-completing plan, and it's one of the best features of life insurance, in my opinion. So if they're young guys, I almost always recommend it. The other thing, I kind of said this before, is I ran this with one of my more expensive companies with a little bit less growth, just to show you it works. I think this is a 6% illustrated rate on this policy.
I hear under 6. Yeah, it's like 5.81 or something.
Yeah.
You know, so as being super conservative with the IUL, you know, it works with the IUL really phenomenally well. I think it's an easier sale, but it works the whole life too. You can do the same thing, you know, same presentation, same style. The only difference is typically with a whole life, you'll have less this number, but you'll still have a good amount of income above it.
Yep.
So that's the only objection you'll have is, well, why do I have less? Because you're paying for the guarantees. You're paying for other parts of the whole life that are going to help you long term. Okay, so it works on both sides. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I was just going to add on to that. With whole life, it's fully guaranteed. So not only are they not at risk, they're getting that guaranteed growth in there. That's all I think I was going to add, Jeremy. But yeah, what questions do you guys have? This is pretty much how I do it every time. These are the columns I always did. All of these columns are important. I'll go through them really quickly. The first column is just monthly payment. You guys know what that's important. The next one is the death benefit and the current balance. I keep this together just so I don't have a super wide column. It has to make the text super small because I typically need those 7 columns. Just show them where they're at now and how much coverage they have. The next one, and this one's very important for going over the term to permanent argument. Okay, sorry. I thought you were talking to me, Jeremy. No one wants to pay money and not see anything out of it. So let's show them, hey, you're putting, especially in this one up here, you're going to put $24,000 into a term policy that you're never going to use, hopefully. No one likes to see a 0 return on their money or a negative return on their money. The next one is just showing them how much, and it ties into the next one, just showing them how much it's going to be worth when they're ready to retire. And sometimes what I'll do is I won't even put in the retirement annual income number. I'll just do value in 15 years, value in 25 years, or value when they're whatever age they're going to be at when they want to retire. If income wasn't as important to them.
Question. Going back to the term, in terms of not, writing a different policy for the term. Suppose they have say like a 20-year term, and they've been in it, say 5 years. Would you give them the option of replacing that, or would you even bring it up because of all the money they're not going to see for the next 15 years out of the term? I understand if they only got a few years to go. So say they got 10 years to go, or 15 or 12 years to go, and they're paying, say they're paying $100 a month.
It depends on the circumstances. It really depends. You know, with 10 years left, if it's with a company I can convert to later, I'll have them keep it. If I cannot, it depends on the company, can I reduce the death benefit they have? Because we don't need to pay for all that term then, because we're getting a bigger, IUL policy to offset it. There's lots of different things we can do there. Ideally, like we said earlier, we want to save policies as much as possible, because replacing policies puts a bad taste in everybody's mouth. It makes people feel stupid a lot of times that, hey, I bought the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to avoid that if all possible. So I'm not big on replacing policies. I absolutely have to. This policy was expiring, so it made sense to write a separate secondary term supplement. If you don't want to go the term route, you can do an internal term policy, a term rider. Right, Alex?
Yep, additional death benefit rider, ADB.
we were arguing about this earlier. We were arguing about that fact of it. But yeah, you can do lots of ways to do it. But yeah, I mean, if they had 10 years left and it's a convertible term, you know, I may leave it if it's depends what the policy is. I mean, if they were rated smoker, now they're non-smoker, I'm going to replace it because it's a lower cost, even though they're a little older. So it's going to be a balancing act based on. I mean, the simplest answer to it, and this is a scary answer that I don't like giving, is use common sense.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, really. Just think about it. You know, what would you do with that policy if it was you?
Mhm.
In your best interest, what would you do with it?
Mhm.
Before I go on to the next question, I do have one other point I want to make. And that's for this case, I did do a 25-year term here. But depending on the case, it may just be a 10-year. If they talked about how they wanted to put more money away in the future, yeah, let's get a little bit higher death benefit and lock in their good health now with a 10-year term. That way we can convert that in the future to put in more money away.
Mhm.
If I'm going to be converting something in the future, I'm just doing a 10-year term just to lock in their health right now. 10-year terms are super cheap, especially if you're healthy. You can get a lot of coverage for virtually nothing.
Mhm.
I know for me, when I first got mine, I think I had a $500,000 term. I was paying $12 a month for it for 10 years.
And he was not super preferred either. He was second best weight class, so he wasn't healthy enough.
Wasn't quite healthy enough. My cholesterol was a little high. But yeah, so if I'm going to be converting it, I'm always writing it with just a 10-year term with the company that I'm going to be converting it to. I don't care that maybe Transamerica is cheaper or Midland's cheaper or anything else. Whatever company that I want to write that permanent through, so what I'm going to write that term policy through.
Going back to the whole life versus IUL, would the choice be dependent on what you find in the fact find, what their goals are, maybe?
Yeah, it's what you're comfortable with, and it's what they're comfortable with. If they're very aggressive, like this guy was in the stocks, and he likes playing. If he likes playing the stocks, then yeah, go with the IUL. If they're super afraid of risk and they want guarantees or in CDs and stuff, and that's kind of what it. Go whole life.
Mhm.
It's how much risk they like or willing to take. I mean, either way, you're guaranteed no losses, and for some people, that's enough guarantees for them. Some people want the guaranteed growth on top of that.
There's no wrong answer there. There really
Yeah.
isn't. If you're going through, it's basically, where does your heart lie? You know, what product, if you had to sell a product to your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, what would you sell them? You know, I'm comfortable with the IUL. I know it inside and out, as does Alex. So we're super comfortable using the IUL on every case because we understand the benefits, the flaws of it. We understand the positives of it. You know, I have some guys that are 40-year guys in this industry that won't sell an IUL, period, no matter how good they think they are, because the whole life is superior in a lot of ways. Because the guarantees, they're not gonna budge off that. So follow your beliefs more than anything, because you have to believe in what you sell. So if you only half-heartedly believe in IUL, you're not going to close the case. If you only half-heartedly believe in whole life, it's going to be a tough sale.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
people are buying based on your belief and your expertise.
Yeah.
So you need to be confident in what you're doing. You're asking them to trust you, so you have to show confidence that what you're doing is the best thing. And that goes for every salesman position out there.
mhm.
I have a question.
Okay.
So you show them the index life insurance, right? You know, in the current life insurance policies that are coming out, a lot of them have extended benefits that you don't pay for. But for this purpose alone, you're not going to say anything about that because that's not what they're asking for, right? And then you just go and tell them exactly what they wanted. And then when would you tell them about the extra benefits and that kind of thing about the life insurance policy? Like, you know, the critical care, chronic care, that kind of thing. that's already included inside the plan and they don't pay anything for it.
Well, very few terms there's very few terms that offer living benefits right now. They're growing more and more. So almost every term we were going to, like in this case, was a State Farm term policy. There's no benefits there. I mean, this policy is 20 some years old. There's nothing there to build off of. So, you know, with LSW, where Alex quoted this, I would typically do it at delivery of the policy, because I've already made the sale. I don't need to add any more benefits on there. The more I can talk myself out of a sale by talking to them too much about how great the product is. So if they're ready to go here, I'm not going to go into it. And at delivery, saying, okay, now on top of what you have for life insurance and death benefit and the cash accumulation, there's also 3 more benefits we're going to go into. That's going to be at delivery. I'm not going to go in during this process, because I'm just going to confuse them. You know, I'm going to overwhelm them and talk myself out of the sale. It's the last thing you want to do. Now, if they're on the fence and they need a little push, you know, well, what makes this different than any other policy out there? Okay, now, you know, this policy also offers chronic critical and terminal illness riders. It has waiver premix self-completing, blah, 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 blah. You can throw up onto that point to help solidify the sale if they're on the fence about it. Does that make sense?
So how would you go about it? Say like they weren't interested in the death benefit, say the 347,980, but they wanted the retirement annual income, which is the 18,512. So when you show them the plan, you know, like you tell them, well, how would, you know, you like, you know, are you concerned about taxes? Yeah, I'm concerned about taxes. I don't want to be paying taxes. Great. If I show you a plan where you don't pay taxes, but you still make, you know, your 18,000, you know, and then the guy will go, yeah, okay, sure. So you show him the plan, but then he's going to see the insurance. He goes, is this a life insurance policy? And what would you answer on that?
I mean, you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole again. You know, if there's no need for the insurance, it's going to be a tough sale. If they don't want the insurance, it's going to be a tough sale. You know, in this case, they wanted the insurance. So when I'm doing my fact find, I'm going to cover those facts. I'm going to ask them about insurance. I'm going to go through everything I know about life insurance with them, a little presentation, and get their feelings. And they're going to tell me, hey, I hate permanent insurance. No, I listen to Dave Ramsey. I only do my term. What's the difference? Whatever it is, you know, I'm not going to argue with them about it. So if they're that adamant about not having insurance, I'm not going to present. I'm going to go with something else. I'm going to go with an annuity. I'm going to go with some kind of other structured plan.
Yeah, because I guess I had an incident about a year and a half ago, and I'm still trying to fix it with this lady. I know she has a lot of money. That's why I'm not giving up on her. But, and she's still, you know, like interested. But we talked, and she was very much interested in long-term care. But at that time, I wasn't selling long-term care. And she wasn't interested in the life insurance part of it. So I showed her the you know, Midland National Life, right? I showed them, you know, that, okay, I have a plan here that when long-term care situation hits, you can take this money out and then you can utilize this to pay your long-term care. And so she asked, how much would it cost a year? I said, oh, it costs this much per year. And then when I showed her the thing, this plan here, she goes, is this life insurance? And I said, yes, it's off a life insurance policy because life insurance can do this. And she goes, you know, Joe, I told you I wasn't interested in life insurance. And I think it confused the issue. So she goes, you know what, I got to think about this. And I haven't been able to close that because of that, although we still talk.
It's a tough situation. It really is. I mean, it's all about asking the question. So 5 minutes ago, before you knew his life insurance, you liked the plan, right? You know, what changed? Just because it has the title of life insurance? What do you think life insurance is? You know, and walk through the process with them.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, sorry.
No problem.
We did have one more question, Jeremy. I don't know if you want this. Some people prefer return of premium term. What questions should we ask, and how do we deal with this?
I don't know. What do you think, Alex?
So I actually really hate return on premium term. It's like my most hated product out there, just because it's the biggest waste of money I've ever seen. And I can go through the math. I'm not going to go through the exact numbers with you, but I'll go over the concept with you real quickly. And I don't have a pen because normally I write this down as I do it. There we go. So with return on premium term, let's say regular term policy, right? The regular term policy is going to cost. I can just throw it on the screen for you. Let's do that. Why isn't it working? Is it working? Oh, it is. Okay. So if a regular term policy costs, it would be this one. For $81 a month, your return of premium is going to be like $150
It's going to be almost double the premium.
for that same $500,000 of coverage. And at the end of it, the only thing that you get back is exactly what you put in. So whatever 150 times 12 times 25 is, I don't know if anyone has a calculator on hand.
I got it. So you get 45,000.
Yep. So they're going to put in 45,000 over that time period, and they're going to get $45,000 back. Oops. Sorry, it's a little laggy. So instead of this number being, they're only spending $81, now they're paying twice as much. And instead of getting $24,000 back, or instead of getting $0 back, they get $45,000. They didn't get any money interest over that time period. The money was not working for them at all. Does it ever make sense to have your money for 30 years doing nothing for you? And then it just, to keep it apples to apples, this goes down way further. So instead of being $81, it's now $344. You're looking at what is it, $275? So this is going to be way less, just to get their money back. And the other part of this is, let's say you invested that $79 over that same time period, you're going to make more than $45,000. So if you were to buy term and invest the difference in there, you'd end up net positive.
79 over 25 years, Alex?
Yep.
Of course, my software is broken.
Do you have macros disabled?
Probably. It's always something stupid. I mean, yeah, it's dang close. I mean, that's 40,000. If you get 5%, 47,000. So you're gonna be right in that same ballpark just by investing the difference, and you have that money as needed. And that's the big thing. Is if you have money, if it's all top of your policy, your return premium, and now, 5-6 years in, you lose your job, can't afford it. You haven't invested any of the premiums, so you're not going to get any money back. Now you just wasted a ton of money. Where if you had that $79 separate for those first 5 or 6 years, now you have a pool money to pull from. If something, God forbid, something did happen. Make sense?
Mhm.
And Jamie asked, I was under the impression that RP riders refunds only the base premium. Correct. It does not cover any additional premiums on. With most carriers, does not cover child term riders, waiver of premium, any of the riders of the policy also. So a lot of the premium you're only getting is the base premium back. That's correct.
Yeah, so at the end of it, it's just talking about how your money, you're not getting any return on your money. And does it ever make sense to have your money sitting there doing nothing for you? Is one of the questions I love to ask. And then it's just showing them the math beyond it. Because this is going to be a lot less so this is going to look so much better.
And Sarah, the return happens at a specific period of the term policy. So if you had a 30-year return of premium, at the end of 30 years, you'll get all 100% of your money back. And there's usually a schedule internal that starts at like 15 years and will slowly scale up to the full 100% at year 30 or year 25, however it wants to structure.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, how come some states don't accept waiver of premium? What I mean, you know, I'm in a state that does, but I'm just curious.
I mean, there's a few states that don't. California's our biggest issue because the reason they don't allow it in most of the policies is because they have their state-run DI policy or the state-run disability insurance. So they don't allow waiver because it's actually counts as cash in hand the way they structure it. So you're getting disability benefits, even though they're paying your premium, they don't want you getting additional disability benefits above the 70% max cap you can get from DI insurance.
You mean those states actually will pay for your life insurance policy then?
No, they won't pay for they have a state-run DI program, which I don't remember the exact percentage. I think it's like 25 or 30% income they'll replace, and then you can supplement it with like an Assurity product or another disability product. But they have very strict limits on what you can get in that state.
Oh, lucky I live in Hawaii then.
Yeah, I mean, most states waiver premium is fully acceptable. Waiver surrender charges is easy. Waiver specified premium is spotty based on the state. It's just everything's gonna be a little different on what riders are available, what company has the riders available in the language of the riders.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Welcome. Anything else?
So when you get to the end, say like we do everything as you just said. So how would you close this out to go from this step to the contract?
Okay, so I said, so like I said, so as I was doing, once I finished my thing, which one makes more sense to you? And they say, I want to do this one. I said, okay, let's get started. And I pull the application out of my pack. And we'll start filling out the application right then and there.
Okay.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Don't try to talk them into, well, let's do the app next. Just assume and get started. You know, let's go with the next. Let's jump right into it. You know, just go for it. What's the worst I can tell you? No, I'm not ready. I mean, you already found the money for them. You've already shown them the benefit. They've already agreed this is the better plan. What's left to stop them?
Oh, and the only other thing I want to add is don't be afraid to tweak these numbers. So let's say this is what I presented, right? They're like, I love what you did, but I'm just not comfortable putting $400 a month. Okay, what are you comfortable with? Like, this is not set in stone that you have to do this or you can't use this plan. Make it so whatever is comfortable with them. So if they only want to do 300, they want to keep putting $100 into their IRA, do it. Something is always better than nothing. It doesn't have to be the full blown or nothing.
Yep.
Make it so at
So-
the end of the day, it's their plan. Go ahead, John.
So if you tweak it, you're gonna come back with another plan or what?
If
Or
I
you
have
tweak-
to, if they like the concept, let's get the paperwork started, and then we'll come back, and when we deliver the policy, we'll go over the exact numbers from there. Then you can
Okay.
accept it or reject it as you see fit.
Mhm.
Don't waste trips. I mean, it's conceptual selling. The numbers might be the numbers will be a little bit lower. I mean, on the fly, just divide it by 4, and then times it by 3 to come up with the rough numbers for them.
Mhm.
So we can do the rough numbers then at that appointment. In other words, we can, we're not going to be giving the client the 2-page plan, right? Or we are with all that
I don't do it till delivery. I give them the exact plan. Once I get through and get the paperwork done, get them all approved. That way, if they come back preferred, if they come back elite, come back rated, then I want to customize the plan at that point for delivery, showing them the differences. Okay, here's what originally stated, and here's what it actually is today because of the health issues or whatever, the difference in the money less money you want to spend, you know, and kind of show them the side by side at delivery.
Okay, so when you do the at delivery then, that would be, you would show you wouldn't waste your time showing their plan and our plan. You start with our plan and then our plan revised.
Correct.
Correct.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because you really don't know until the application has been processed.
Yeah. Nothing's set in stone until it's approved.
Right.
Right. So in other words, and if they're rated, that means that they're going to be, their mortality rate's going to be higher, even though they're paying the same amount of dollars. That means that the cash value will be a little bit lower, and that would be the adjustment.
No, so I would lower the death benefit and keep the cash the same. So we'd buy a little more term or extend the term altogether.
So in other words, lower the IUL,
Mhm.
increase the term, and make sure the cash value remains the same.
As close to possible. I mean, typically, up to table 4 with the same money will yield a better result for the client. Yield more cash value with a little bit less death benefit. There's not much difference.
Okay. Got it. Oh,
All right.
so when you do get the rated thing back, say like they get rated, right? Say you had them at preferred and they got rated, so now they're like it's substandard. So you would have to call the client, right, and let them know at that point, right, at least that, hey, you know what, your health thing came back and you've been rated, so there's going to be some adjustments. And do you tell them there over the phone and then make sure they say yeah, or
I mean, typically what the company wants to know is, are they going to take the policy before they issue it?
right?
Okay. So, well, one, I almost never run anybody preferred out from the gate. I run
Right.
everybody standard, because if I have to go from preferred to substandard, that's going to be a big price increase. Big. Okay. So run everybody standard, save yourself aggravation. That way, if it goes from standard to table 2, standard to table 4, it's not that big a pill to swallow. Now, if it's standard to table 16, yeah, I mean, it's probably a dead duck at that point anyways, because that's going to be, 800% increase in the insurance or whatnot.
Oh. But if the person is in good, like I just had a life insurance sale last month where the lady came to me and says, I want $250,000 of that IUL, and I wanted, shit, it just slipped my mind. It had to do with exactly what you're talking about right now. Oh, the health thing. God dang, outside my window, this alarm keeps going off and on, and I gotta keep turning my voice off. But I had the question, I'll ask it in a few minutes.
No worries, Joe. All right. Well, we're waiting for Joe to get back. Anybody have any other questions? And don't be shy. Ask anything you guys have questions on.
Oh yeah, okay. The alarm went off. So she has her $250,000 IUL, and when she came up to me, she goes, and I want the best rating because I'm in great health. Oh man, here we go again. So I told her, okay, I did the app and I turned it in at the best rating. I think it was preferred plus or something like that, and she got it. So I was lucky. And I forgot to tell her, but if your rating isn't good, then the thing goes down. So I had to tell her that the next day or a couple of days later.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
she
a
was
lot of
gonna-
times, when you're taking the application, we're qualifying people during the application process. So, okay, so if they I want best class, best thing, and I'm gonna ask them the height, weight. I'm gonna check everything, their meds, and if it's clean, I have no problem submitting it that way if that's what they wanted. But typically, as you're doing the application, you're gonna see something that's gonna knock them out. Okay, you want the best rating possible, but you're 5'9", 400 pounds. That's not gonna happen. I'm not a miracle worker. So you have to kind of, again, it's common sense to it too. If you see they're on 5 different medications, they're not going to get best class preferred.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Because I remember I had a friend. That's why, right, when I first started in the business in 2015, I had a close friend was my first customer, and he ended getting up. He spent it like about 500. He told me $500 policy, so my trainer opened a policy for him at $500, and he lifted weights, everything like that, and he claimed he was in good health. So I was going to put him not in the top preferred plus, but more the one right above the standard. However, when the policy came out, he got rated right below standard, and then it was told because he was overweight.
Mhm.
And I never found out about it till way later that I didn't tell the company that he lifted weights as a not profession, but as a hobby, close to being, he used to enter these contests and stuff.
Mhm.
And because of that, it put his weight higher. And I heard later
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Does not matter. From what I understand, it does not matter, because you can be, because even as a weightlifter, for someone who I used to lift weights, and I was overweight because I did that with lifting weights. It didn't matter because it puts an additional strain on your heart. It strains your other organs. You have a high risk of death if you carry too much body weight, period, whether it's good weight or bad weight.
Okay, because I felt bad because I felt like I was withholding information. I could be in fiduciary or whatever they call that troubles. I never told him about that. I just.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, it's the weight's the weight. That's what I've always been told. I don't think there's any exceptions that have been made for it. I may be wrong, but usually I'm not wrong.
Yeah, the lesson I got out of that was the first time you look at the lesson I got out of that is in the future, make sure when I first go into the appointment to make sure I get their height and weight and talk about their health at that point, so that we don't get surprised later on way into the that second or third appointment later, where I have to tell them, where I can be straight up right at the beginning and tell them, well, you got to be careful with the weight because it's hard to get these kinds of stuffs and whatever.
Yeah, you have to be careful when you present it to the client, when you talk about that stuff, because you can alienate people.
Right.
So it's more, be the judge, become an astute. I mean, you'll notice if people are smokers. You'll notice as you sit with people, a lot of times their pills are on top of their microwave in their kitchen. If you see a pile of pill bottles, there's probably some health issues. Use field underwriting skills to look around, notice what's around in the surroundings. If they're short, fat people, they're probably gonna have some weight issues. If they're tall and super huge, there's some weight issues. I mean, a lot of it's common sense. Again, just use your best judgment, and then when you come down to the court illustrations, doing the presentation, at the end, I'll ask them, are there any outstanding health issues I need to be concerned about before we move forward?
Oh yeah, that's right. Good point.
All right. Anything else? If not, I thank you guys. This is a really fun class for me. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. So thank you guys for joining me for this. Thank you for all of the great questions. I love answering questions. I know I'm not perfect presenting.
Good education all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for all the info. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Pleasure. And guys, don't forget, we do have a class in 2 more days. We have 2 this week, so I hope you guys are excited for that. So we'll make sure you signed up for that. If you're a member, then you get in free. So yeah, we'll see everybody on Thursday, hopefully. Unless you need us before, then just give us a call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy, for the revision as well too.
No worries.
I haven't had a chance to look over it. I had some stuff I had to do after I talked with you, and then I had dentists.